Record, Kara.
I think it's recording. Yeah, it's recording. Yep, thank you. Um, okay, so can everybody see the instructor handbook slide? Okay. All right. So I wanted to, while Lynn is here, go through the instructor handbook a little bit. So I think we're starting out on page 4, it looks like. Um, and so just going through that a little bit, if everybody wants to, I sent it over yesterday, so hopefully you have a copy available. But we just wanted to go over, on page 4, we talk about monitoring performance and grading. And so I know Cornell, you've taught in classes before. Shamrock, you're familiar with the program. So our RAISE classes are pass fail. And so we have at the end of the handbook here, there is an evaluation form, like a sample evaluation form that you can look at, and that kind of gives you an idea of what we're looking for in terms of classroom participation and in terms of goals for each student. That's a sample one. I sent over, we have individual ones for each of the classes. So I've sent those to each of the instructors. Let me know if you didn't get that for any reason. Um, but overall, you can kind of see in the handbook that, we want to make sure that everybody is participating as an individual and in any kind of group assignment or setting, um, that they are assessed based on that individual work as well as group work and their class participation, and then any assignments completed outside of the classroom, so like homework, um, assignments with an Eagle, and then a final exam. And we also have requirements for behavior. We want students to be following, of course, both the Rock Valley College Code of Conduct and then our own rules that we have set up within the RAISE program. And so there's more outlined about that in the handbook, but I mean, essentially what we're looking at is making sure that, classroom behavior is on track, nothing disruptive is happening. We don't have any violations of rules in terms of, any kind of like violence, any kind of bullying, all those kinds of things. I think all of that is laid out a little bit more. Wanted to look.
And Kara, I had a quick question for you.
Yes,
Uh,
yes.
is there a like a midterm or midpoint evaluation or check-in or anything like that prior to the end of the course grading and performance?
Lynn, can you answer what it's been like in the past?
Sure.
Thank
Yeah, Cornell, there is not a required midterm. Right now, we're just requiring that all instructors have a final. However, you certainly have the discretion to do a midterm if you'd like, and that may not be a bad idea. One of the things that I highly recommend all instructors do is at the beginning of the course, probably the first week, maybe before some of your first lessons, that you really go through in quite a bit of detail the course objectives and what the students are going to be assessed on, because you don't want it to be a surprise, that at the end of a semester you're expecting them to have met those objectives and then they don't know that that was happening. So I would periodically, even throughout the semester, just kind of review that. If you see students that are not meeting those objectives or they're not putting forth the effort or whatever, it's not a bad idea to just reference back to that. Remember the first week of class we talked about the expectations on how you're going to be assessed, and that determines whether or not you're going to pass. And that's important because I want to stress that we really are treating this as a college experience. And so there is a higher standard for students that this isn't just an extension of high school. So we want them to understand, that they do have to meet those successfully if they're going to pass the class. And that may mean that everybody doesn't pass. And that's okay. I think as an instructor, we want you to know that, you should be individually and honestly assessing each student. And if they haven't met those objectives, then they shouldn't pass. Because the program has to have credibility. We don't want to just pass everybody through and then they're not, reaching the level of expectation. So, yeah, so you can certainly build in additional assessment methods. You can, assess students in other ways. That's totally up to you. I would run that by Kara, just to make sure that it fits. And we want to make sure that anything that you're assessing students on, that it directly ties to the individual course objectives. That's important.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
Okay, so some of that conduct that I just briefly mentioned, we're going to go into a little bit more on page 7. But for now, back on page 4, that gives you a scale to rate classroom behavior and participation on 4 being always, 3 being usually, 2 being sometimes, 1 being seldom. So you can reference that throughout the semester. And a passing grade is based on the student earning a 2, 3, or 4 for expected classroom behavior and demonstrating mastery of 5 or more of the competencies stated on the final performance evaluation. And like I said, those are individual based on the class that you're teaching. And we just like to remind instructors that if you can be tracking these things kind of throughout the semester, like Lynn said, if for some reason a student isn't meeting expectations in the class or isn't participating, we never want it to be a surprise at the end of the semester. So if you can keep track, kind of keep front of mind what those expectations are, that are going to be covered, as part of the final evaluation. That way you can kind of keep communicating with students if you're seeing any issues come up. All right, so then moving on to page 5, this is the curriculum section of the instructor handbook. And that we use Eagle for our course management system. And so when it comes to the curriculum, it's mostly laid out in there for the instructors. It's a really, really good foundation that is going to cover the main things that we want to have covered in the class. But we also want to welcome your creativity, your background and skills, and your personality as you teach within the program. So if there are things that you see in there that are opportunities that you'd really like to add kind of your own, you know, ideas for things, that's great. And we really want to encourage that. I just ask that you let me know, just so I kind of am staying on track with you. We also just want to be careful, especially about adding anything as far as video. This population of students can just be very sensitive to things that maybe in a college class would normally be okay. So we just want to make sure that we're being really conscious of that. I do have, as far as videos, a whole bunch of DVDs in my office, And you're both welcome to come over at any point and kind of look through them and see if there's something in there that might work well for your class. Videos are they can be great. They can really help bring the class to life. So, finding videos on YouTube and things like that can also be really good. You just we just want to be really careful. And preview those videos completely all the way through to the end. You never know what's going to pop up. Um, and you want to be careful with ads and all that sort of thing. So, if you can just kind of review those with me if you plan on adding a video to the class, or if you want to make any curriculum changes. The big thing, like Lynn said, is we just want to make sure that everything is aligning with the course objectives. So, if there's anything like that that you want to add to the curriculum, just kind of giving me a heads up and letting me know so that we can make sure that we're staying on track with all of our goals for the program. And then we really want as much as possible for the students to be completing work in the Eagle platform because we want to be able to track grades and things like that. We also, a big goal of the program is to help students with learning technology and using the technology that they will use at Rock Valley if they go on to do more classes. So, as much as possible, having them kind of operate within Eagle is really encouraged. Of course, discussion, group work, hands-on activities, all of those are great as well. But just making sure that we're kind of keeping the assignments and any graded work within Eagle as much as possible is one of our goals. If you do need, for some reason, if you do need something printed or anything like that, you can come to me. We have a budget within the RAISE program for printing and copying costs. We of course like to keep those costs as low as possible because we want to have a good, strong, sustainable program and budget. But if there's something that you'd like copied, just come to me and I can help you get that set up. So it's coming out of the raised budget. Um, okay, let's see. Oh, and then speakers. If you have an idea for a speaker that you would like to come in, again, that's encouraged. We love having people come in and talk to the students and share real life experience. That can be so helpful and powerful. Um, if you do have somebody that you'd like to come in, if you could just let me know so that I can make sure that we're covering all of our bases in terms of knowing who the person is and all that kind of stuff. And I also have a few people who I've talked with just in the short time I've been here, from Rock Valley who have offered to come in and speak to the classes. So I'll keep you updated as far as that goes. But we have, a few people on campus who already want to get involved and come and speak, and I think that would be really wonderful. We also have somebody from outside the program and that or outside of Rock Valley, and that's welcome too, as long as it's just really about communicating that who's going to be here, who's going to be speaking, what they're going to be speaking about, those kind of things. um yeah, okay, any questions about that curriculum stuff? Okay, all right.
I was just going to say,
Yes.
Kara, I just want to stress, for this population that they often take a little bit more effort to try to engage. So just trying to keep that in mind as you're developing methods of delivering your course content, that as much variety as you can offer, the better. A lot of them kind of tend to tune out if you just stand and lecture for a long period of time. So just trying to embed, as much hands-on activities and just getting them moving. And, even if there's activities that are going on campus. So if there's a presentation or an event going on in the atrium or somewhere else on campus that you think would be relevant for them to attend. We encourage that as well. Just make sure you run that by Kara for approval. But um, yeah.
Yeah. And that brings up a really good point too. We want as much as possible for the students to be having a traditional college experience here. So I'm going to send along as I see them. And if you could do the same, any events that are happening on campus that would be a good fit for the students that are happening, during welcome week and things like that. We just want, as much as possible for the students to be able to experience the full campus and everything it has to offer. So even if that means maybe going as a group over to, check something out for a little bit and coming back to class, as long as it's relevant to the overall experience, I think, of, the program. I think that would be great. So I'll kind of try to keep an eye out for things. And I know you're both really tapped into things that are going on at Rock Valley, but for our other instructors, I'll pass that information along when things pop up that sound like they could be good opportunities. We don't want to discount fun and how just the fun of being a college student, being on campus, being part of the Rock Valley community. So
And if you ever can't find your students, look for the food.
yes, but that's such a fun part of it. So yeah, if there's, food trucks coming and things like that. Right now, it sounds like all of our students are going to be here from 9 to about 12 because I don't think anyone's staying for lunch. In the past, we have had some students that stayed for lunch because we had a Raise Club in the afternoons after class, and we're not doing that this semester. We're hoping to reinstate it as soon as we can. But that gave them an opportunity to be on campus a little bit more during that lunchtime and to visit things. But it sounds like right now, anything like that might have to happen um, during class or in the last few minutes of class and that kind of thing. But again, I mean, it's all you guys know. You have good discernment. We're trying to balance the traditional college experience with also the in-class work. So well, I'm sure you can figure out the best way to do that. Um so moving on to page 6, we do have some more information about, the classroom expectations at the top of the page. We talked about that a little bit, but we just really want to make sure that students are engaging, that they are actively participating in class. And, part of what I was just working on the student handbook this morning, and part of what we're really trying to help the students kind of get used to is the idea of, advocating for themselves and really actively participating in their own learning experience. So in the past, going to high school, it may have been a situation where they've been really used to having a parent or a teacher or, somebody kind of speak up for them, or if they're having trouble, with something in class. So we really want to make sure that if they're having any kind of struggles with something, questions with something, that we're encouraging that direct conversation with the instructor as much as possible, so just making that really clear in the classroom that students can always come to you with questions, that there's no bad questions, that you're always open to explaining things and breaking things down a different way and things like that. So just kind of encouraging them to step up a little bit in a way that maybe they haven't had to in the past. But again, that reminder that this is this is college, so it's gonna be more challenging in some ways. So, uh, partnering with them in that and letting them know, like if you have a question, you can come to me. You don't have to like go home, ask a parent, ask that parent to step in. I want you to come right to me. Um,
Yeah, and that being said, I will say it may not be a bad idea also. The goal of the program really is to be helping the students to transition into life, right, after they finish high school. And so we want them to be developing skills that are going to allow them to navigate the world as an adult. So keeping that in mind as you have conversations and guiding opportunities with the students, and I think that also applies to, communication and what Kara was just talking about. Um, Sometimes the students, they have a lower level of maturity, um, and just their social, emotional skills are not what we typically would see in a regular college student. Um, and so they probably are going to need a little bit more guidance and concrete examples, and it may not hurt when you're talking about, the communication piece, and you want them to be able to share things that are important with you, but also then giving them an example of what is and is not appropriate and how they do that, that constantly raising their hand in class and perseverating over an issue, that's not a productive way to communicate, but rather, maybe writing it down and then coming to see you after class, that would be a more appropriate way of communicating. So they're going to need some more direction in terms of the appropriateness of how to do those kinds of things. But if you have any issues, again, reach out to Kara and just let her know, and we can all kind of, support you in figuring out the best way to communicate with the student.
yeah, and kind of expanding on that a little bit too, we ask all the students who are applying for the program and preparing for the program, to make sure that they are able to emotionally regulate in a way that helps them, not have to leave class frequently, keeps them able to stay in class. We understand that there's going to be things that come up that might be challenging at times, but overall, we really want to have students able to stay in the class and be able to handle, emotions that come up. So if that's not happening for some reason, and it's becoming, an ongoing issue, um, just let me know and we can walk through it. That kind of gets us into our next topic a little bit, which is, if there's something bigger going on, oh, I have a typo, sorry. If there's something bigger going on, we want to make sure that we're properly documenting everything and we are, um, you know, um, getting the student any kind of assistance that they might need. So, I think we move on to page 7. We kind of went over 7. I think we might be on page 8 at this point. Let's see. Okay, so I know you're both familiar with this program, with the bit reports and behavior intervention, but we kind of get into that on page 8. So for our other teachers that might be watching this later, I want to make sure that we go through where to find the behavior intervention reports and how to file that. And then I think it's good too to sort of differentiate between when we need to do a bit report and when we need to do a raise behavior report. So in the appendix, we do have our own report that is for, when we're having trouble with a student and it needs to be documented for our program. Um, and so that's at the back. Um, and this is like the raised student conduct report is more, and Lynn, please jump in here if you feel like we need to expand on this, but this is more for like a specific incident that happens in class, correct? And then a bit report is sort of a bigger issue, right? Can you help me? Oh,
She's getting ready for a welcome meeting.
okay,
So
okay,
just
all
give
right.
it a second.
Sorry, Karen, my appointment is here, but just very
Okay.
quickly, yeah, I'll clarify, if there's, I want to be crystal clear, on campus, if there's any emergency, medical or otherwise, and you feel it is a true emergency, don't hesitate. Don't try to find Kara. Don't try to find me. Call 911. That is the standard process for any emergency. If it is something that isn't an emergency, but it's a concerning incident, then we want you to first communicate that with Carol. If Carol is not available, then that can be communicated with me. The raised form, as she's speaking to, is really an internal document for our program, just to make sure that we have the details documented. That may or may not end up being turned into a bit report. We are in the process right now of working with the Dean of Students Office to make sure that our discipline process is aligned with the regular college process. Um, so if anything changes in that regard, Carol will certainly communicate that out. But for right now, yes, if there's any concern that you have with the student behavior wise, to just make sure you communicate with Kara. She can either do the bit report, or if you want to do it jointly, just making sure that we get all the details, documented so that we can determine the appropriate action. Um, so if anybody has any questions on that, please let Kara know. And I'll certainly provide any guidance that is needed. And likewise, I'm sorry I have to hop off, but if there's any questions after this training, please forward those to Kara, and I would be more than happy to provide assistance. So I just want to thank you. We are very happy that you agreed to teach in the program. We hope it's a great semester. And we're here to support you, so just remember that.
Okay, thank you so much,
Thank
Lynn.
you. Yeah,
All right, bye-bye.
bye-bye.
Okay, all right. Okay, so we'll keep doing handbook stuff and then we'll go back to some of the other things. We'll finish out this part. Page 8, we talk about students in distress. And so this can be all kinds of things. One of the examples that I had come up when I was meeting with someone was there was a student who had experienced a death in the family and became really, really distraught during class to the point that it was a really, really emotional situation. And there was kind of no way that that student was going to be able to continue with that class session. And luckily, we do have the personal and success counselors on campus. And in that particular case, they were actually able to meet with that student right as that was happening. And so that is an amazing resource that we have right here on campus, in the student center upstairs. And they are there to help students with those kinds of issues and any other kind of personal thing like that that's going on, that might be either something where it needs to be addressed pretty quickly, or it might be something that the student could just use support with on an ongoing basis. It's really amazing that program is free for students, including our raised students. So it's a great place to refer students to. Of course, we have the additional challenge of our students aren't on campus, full time, and they may or may not have transportation, but if they can work with a parent or somebody to help them get to those appointments, it's free, it's confidential, and it's a way that we can help support students who are struggling with issues. And then of course, if for some reason those we have, I think, 3 personal and success counselors now. I'm not sure if that's right, but I believe there's 3. Um,
I don't remember. We had
okay.
them leave and then we had a couple come in. And so I'm
Yes.
not really sure.
Yeah. I think there's 2 upstairs in the student center, and then I think there's Anita Knight is another one, and I think
Yeah, and the health building.
Mhm. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think there's 3 now. But either way, just calling over to their offices. Marcia is the administrative assistant there. She's wonderful about helping students get connected with those services. So, and again, like Lynn said, um, in the case of like a true emergency, do not hesitate to call 911. Um, especially with well, true emergency, full stop. But I wanted to bring up that, we do have students who may have medical issues going on. In the past, there have been students who experience seizures in class and things like that. So our policy is to call 911 because we do not have any medical personnel here to address those issues. So sometimes, apparently in the past, there have been, a few times where it's come up where, um, you know, maybe a student or a parent doesn't want us to call 911 because seizures are a part of the student's life every day. But if you see a student, experiencing a seizure, we want to make sure that we're calling 911 because we can't make that determination whether this is a serious or a non-serious, seizure. We shouldn't be making that determination whether this is a, serious medical emergency or not a serious medical emergency. So our policy is to just call 911, and that way we make sure that the student is getting any medical help that they need. Okay, so we're gonna head back kind of to the beginning. We wanted to talk about all the handbook stuff while Lynn was here, but just a few other things to go over. Like Lynn said, thank you so much for wanting to be an instructor in the RAISE program. We're really excited that you're here. Our classes start next week on the 19th, and it sounds like all of our students will be here. There was a little bit of there was a little bit of back and forth about that last week because some of the school districts don't start until the 20th or even the 21st. But I've confirmed with all of the school districts that students will have transportation as of the 19th. And so that brings up another important point. We partner with a lot of the school districts to bring students here. And then there are some students who are private pay students. And so those students will come from either home, or this semester we have a few that are coming from a group home. And so just so you know, maybe some of the students in your class may or may not take the bus to and from, the school districts. It's great. They provide transportation for students within their district, but we do have some students who are either coming from home or coming from a group home. So just so you know that we do have a mix of both. Um, our orientation is going to be on the 21st. That's the first Thursday of class, and we're going to hold that in the atrium. And I'm going to talk about that a little bit more in a minute here, but I think both of you that are here, you both teach at 9. Yes. So if what we're going to do is the students will come to the WTC on the 21st. If you can help bring them over to the atrium, and we'll get started with the orientation. And then as long as you can stick around, that's great. We'll need, as many hands as possible, but I know you have other work and things that you have to do. And then for our teachers that come at 10:30, if they can just meet us there and then help to escort students back to the WTC. Just so nobody gets lost. It's the first week. We just want to make sure we know where everybody is and, nobody's getting left behind. September 2nd and November 27th, we do not have classes. We have Staff Development Day on September 2nd for full-time folks, not for it's not required for raised instructors if you're not also employed within the college. And then November 27th is part of the Thanksgiving holiday. And then our last day of classes is December 11th. And then we come back in January. If any of if it were to come up for any reason, students are allowed to start our program in January. That kind of throws the school districts a little bit in conversations with them. They didn't realize that students could start midterm, but if that comes up at all, if somebody has a friend or somebody who would like to join the RAISE program, students can start in January. They would then complete their first semester in January, come back, do the fall semester, and then they would graduate the following May because we do have a graduation ceremony. So they would be part of that the following May. Okay, so just quick background on our team. We have Lynn, who you met. She's the Director of Disability Support Services. I'm Kara. I'm the RAISE Program Coordinator. Shamra's here. She's teaching this semester, and she's also the Disability Services, Support Services Administrative Assistant. And then we have some folks that you may or may not meet. They're over in the Disability Services Support Services office. So we have Natalie and Susan. They're both access and interpreter specialists. And then Madison is our access and technology specialist. And Stephanie is our accommodations specialist. So if you have students who are wondering about having accommodations for if they're looking at transferring to traditional classes eventually, these are all people that we can connect them with, who can help them to get any kind of assistance they might need moving forward. They're all great to work with. Okay, you're probably both signed up for RVC alerts, right? Okay. Yes, for our other instructors watching it later, this is just a really good resource to sign up for, because that way you know if Rock Valley's closed for weather or for any other reason. Our classes follow the Rock Valley calendar, essentially. And so if Rock Valley is closed, we do not have classes. So that can get a little confusing, not as much this semester, but next semester when there's spring breaks and things happening. And all the school districts might not have the same schedule for that. So we do follow the Rock Valley schedule when it comes to spring break and other days off and things like that. And then as far as weather goes, if Rock Valley doesn't have classes, we don't have classes. If a school district cancels, but Rock Valley still has classes, the student is not required to come to Rock Valley for classes, especially because they probably won't have transportation on that day. Oh, that just reminded me of something else. Hopefully it'll come back to me. Yeah, I can't remember. Virtual learning days. If Rock Valley does not have classes, but it becomes like a virtual learning day, RAISE classes do not meet on those days. Okay. We talked about this medical emergency. Please just call 911. You can then call me, find me, yell out the door, whatever you need to do. My office is right around the corner from the raise classes, and I will be here during the classes and be available for kind of whatever you need. Whether it's, hey, there's no markers in this room, or hey, I've got a situation here and I need, an extra hand, anything like that. I'm going to try to bounce back and forth between the two classrooms as much as I can. And we have the classrooms are right next to each other, which is a really good setup. So I will be nearby. Payment. So we were able to figure out on Friday that we're going to be able to offer um a little bit more for raise instructors. We are able to pay for 4 hours a week for one class. Um, so you're getting the rate, the $30 rate, but we wanted to try to add in at least some, of your prep time and things like that for classes. So you'll get paid like 4 hours worth of work for each week. Classes are about 2 hours, 2.5 hours, because 1:15 on Tuesdays, 1:15 on Thursdays. So the other thing is you are getting paid for this orientation, 2 hours. I don't think it'll go that long, but that payment is broken up over the whole semester. So if you look at your pay stub, it might look a little funny because you're sort of getting paid like the 2 hours spread out over the whole semester plus a rate of 4 hours per week. So if you're looking at it like, why am I getting paid like 4.08 hours or whatever that's why. That's why. Not that I would think anybody would complain about having extra money in their paycheck, but just so you know, you don't need to sound the alarm. And of course, you guys know, but for our other instructors, payment comes on the 15th of the month and then on the last day of the month. And if any of that falls on a weekend, it's the Friday before. Okay. All right, Eagle and Canvas. We are working right now. We have a meeting in a few minutes. Well, that's not true. An hour or so. But we're trying to get you access to your classes as soon as possible. And I will let you know the minute that everybody is approved to get in there and look at all of their class information. So you just want to make sure as soon as you can, look through there, make sure everything looks all right, makes sense, nothing is missing. Um, I've gone through everything. Lynn and Dave, Dave is Lynn's supervisor, they've gone through everything, but we're not current, we haven't taught in the recent past. So, please let us know if it looks like something isn't looking how it should. Um, and then once you get access to those classes, you'll want to go into the syllabus and update. There's a place for instructor information. So you'll want to make sure that you either insert that or change that, depending on the status of kind of what the class looks like right now. And then in your modules, there's also a place where it says get to know your instructor, and you'll want to update that as well. And like I said, we're working hard on that. But everybody is, the whole campus is, they're getting ready for class. So we'll get those to you absolutely as soon as we can. Okay, absences. If you need to not be here for some reason, if you can please let me know as soon as possible, so I can try to arrange for a sub. And of course, for like day of, my car won't start. Oh no, please call me and let me know my number. That's not right. I'm not at 2516. I'm sorry. I'm at 4125. But it's at the bottom of all my emails and everything. So hopefully, don't pay attention to that though. I got that
You
one.
added your room number.
I did. I absolutely did. Oh my goodness. Um, okay. So I am at 4125. 921 4125. Okay. All right. First week of class, Tuesday. Um, very exciting, but also coming very quickly. So if you could, especially since you're both 9 o'clock instructors, if you could be here a little bit early, we just want to kind of welcome everyone and make sure that they're getting to class. I have printed out a whole bunch of signs, so hopefully it will be really clear that students are in the right place and we'll be able to help them, get to classes. The buses drop off right in front of the WTC, so it's pretty easy to just welcome them in and either have them head up the stairs and then take a left, or also there's an elevator right around the corner. If you come in and go to the left, there's the elevator there. The classes are right by the elevator, which again is great for any students with mobility issues. So that's good. And I have t-shirts over in the disability services, support services office. So let me know if you'd like a raised t-shirt at any point, either to wear on the first day or for orientation or anytime. We've got t-shirts over there and you're welcome to them. So just let me know. If you want to just email me, I can give them to you on Tuesday, or we can set up a time to go over and get it before then. I bet
Or
if you asked Shammer really nicely.
yeah, I was gonna say if you let Kara know, she can just email me and then you can just stop into the office and I can get it for you so she doesn't have to come from her office over here.
Thank you. I
You're
appreciate
welcome.
it. Yeah. Yeah. So you can do that too. And then that will be even easier. You can have it for Tuesday or for Thursday. Um, okay, so weekly check-ins. I just want to make sure that, we stay in communication, stay in touch. This doesn't have to be anything super formal. If you want to come by before class or after class and just, if you have any questions, have any concerns, want to run anything by me, anything you want to add to the curriculum or guest speakers, but I'd love to just make sure we're checking in once a week. Um, a big thing for me is just I want to make sure that if there's something you need, that you have the support you need. I have a bit of experience teaching, and I know sometimes it can feel like you're sort of in there on your own if you don't have somebody you can come to. So I just want to make sure that if there's anything going on, just that we keep communicating and that you have, somebody's got your back. Um, okay, guest speakers. We kind of talked about this too. I'm I'm looking at a few people that have offered to come in and speak. And I think like Lynn said, the more that we can kind of keep things um change things up a little bit, keep things engaging, and guest speakers are a great way to do that. So just let me know if you have somebody in mind and we can get it all figured out. Um, Again, I've got a gigantic pile of DVDs in here. So my office is WTC 2516. So you're welcome to come by and look through the videos at any point and see if there's something that might work well for your class. And then, yeah, if you need copies or anything, let me know. We can get that set up. We're trying to limit, too much copying, but sometimes things just work better if you can, have a worksheet or something like that. So, okay, our orientation. is going to be held in the Student Center in the atrium on Thursday. It's 9 a.m. to sort of to be determined. So we might have instructors bring students back to class if we wrap things up early. The students or the instructors that have the 10:30 to 11:45 classes. Um, our basic plan is from 9 to 9:30, we're going to have a presentation, introduce, the people, the instructors who are there, and any other staff who are there. Um, and then we have a list of things we want to try to get done. So I made a form, but as much as instructors can kind of help make sure all these boxes are getting checked, we really want to try to get students IDs, Rock Valley College IDs. So Annie from the welcome desk has said, the best way to do that is probably to bring students over, 2 or 3 at a time, get them set up with IDs. We also have a couple of forms that we need students to sign, a raised participation form, and then also the FERPA form that allows us to talk to parents about things like attendance and grades and things like that. Um, and then we have Rock Valley Padfolios that we want to give out to the students. Inside of that, we're going to put the Raise Student Handbook, and we're also going to have little cards. Dave is setting all this, we'll be setting all the students up with Rock Valley College online accounts, which will include their student number and then also a password. Um, because we've had some problems in the past with, you know, keeping track of passwords and stuff like that. And because we do want students to have easy access to our laptops that we have available for classes. And I should probably mention more about that in a second. Um, but we're creating these cards, and then we're actually going to hold on to a copy of their login and password, just so that we have kind of a backup in case they get locked out, because we don't want it to be a barrier to them being able to participate. Um, so
Will
yes, sorry, Cornell.
No, that's all right. Will they not have access to Eagle until Thursday?
No.
Okay.
Yes, yeah, yeah. So I'm sorry, Tuesday is gonna be more of kind of a getting settled, get to know you type of um
Okay.
little bit, yeah, yeah. We ideally would have had everybody, we would have done the orientation on Tuesday, but we had some students who didn't have transportation on Tuesday.
Gotcha.
So, in the future, we're going to coordinate with the school districts and make sure that we can kind of do this orientation stuff on the first day of classes.
Okay.
For now, it might be good to just kind of think in terms of, having some other activities, icebreaker type things, getting the students just getting like helping them get to know you, helping them get to know each other,
Okay.
all that kind of stuff that first day. Yeah.
Gotcha.
And
Okay.
um I guess it's also just a little bit in the past it's a little like it's a little hard just kind of getting everyone settled where they're supposed to be anyway on the first day. So
Right.
yeah, so there's going to kind of be the first little bit of class too, just
Okay.
getting everybody situated. Yeah. But then after that, they should have access to the laptops, which I can help you get. We have 25 laptops and we have 25 students. So all the math should work out well. Our technology specialist is coming over today. No, tomorrow? But she's coming over just to make sure. She's been going through all the laptops in our laptop cart and making sure that everything is operational and that students won't have trouble getting into the laptops. So we'll have all those set up by the time class starts and make sure all of those are hopefully working well unless anything strange happens. Um, and then at 10:30, for the orientation, we have some therapy dogs coming by. We're just gonna do some photos and kind of let students hang out with the therapy dogs. And I've heard from a couple of instructors from the school district that the students are, a little bit nervous about this program and transitioning. So we thought that might be a good way to just kind of help everybody feel a little bit less stressed and a little more comfortable during the first week. I wanted to ask you what you would want students to call you. If it's, Mr., Mrs., first name, Ms., last name, it's really whatever you're comfortable with. So,
My first name, I'm fine with them calling me by my first name if they can
okay.
pronounce it.
Okay, all right. No, no Ms., no anything like that.
No,
Okay.
for the most part, they're adults, and I already will slip up and refer to them as kids, which they hate, but I'm okay with them calling me by my first name.
Okay. Okay.
Same here.
Okay. All right.
My last name is way too complicated, so
Okay. Okay. Sounds good. All right. That makes it easy. And I'm putting together a PowerPoint for, when the students come, and everybody has sent me a fun fact. So we just have we'll have a little thing about each of you during the orientation so they can get to know a little bit about you. All right. Okay, so phones. Phones are just a big distraction. So, as much as possible, we want to ask students that they put phones in a table or on a desk in the back of the class during the class and then retrieve them after class. There are some students who may, for some reason, need their phone closer for a medical reason. For instance, if they have like diabetes monitoring or something like that, sometimes the phone will beep really obnoxiously if it gets too far away, which then just creates its own distraction. So we want to make sure, if there's any medical or academic reason for a student to have access to a phone, if there's a point in class where you say like, hey, let's all like Kahoot. I don't know if you guys have experience with that, but that can be a game where you're actually playing on your phone, but it's definitely an academic and educational purpose. So of course that's okay. Again, it's just really about helping students to focus and avoiding distraction. So you can make your rules with that as far as, academic things, but the
Do
rest
you have any, like, I haven't looked at the applications, so do you have any information for students that may need it with them for a medical reason?
it looks like right now we don't have anyone who would need it, but if a student brings something up, sorry about that. If a student brings something up about needing it because of something, but just looking through the IEPs and everything, it doesn't look like we would have any, but you just never know. They might have something that is a real medical reason. So you can um, be the judge of, is this a medical reason, or is this, somebody who just wants to have access to their phone. So um yeah. So right now we don't have any reason why anybody would need um their phone close by, but we just want to make sure that that's available and that teachers are aware that there might actually be in some cases a reason a student might need a phone. Um So Lynn definitely touched on this earlier, but the big thing is we don't want it to be a surprise to the student, to the school district, to a parent, to anyone else if something, if for some reason the student isn't going to pass the class. So the sooner we can address things, the better. Um, things like ongoing behavior issues or a student not meeting the expectations for the class. We just want to make sure that, um, we're doing our best to help everyone succeed. So if there's something that comes up, we just want to make sure, like, if you can communicate with me, and then I can help communicate with the school district or the parent or whoever that gets a little bit, like in some cases our direct contact is through the school district. In other case, like with the private pay students, it is through a parent. So I don't necessarily have ongoing communication with all parents. And again, we want this to be as much like a college experience as possible. And with a traditional student, if they're not doing well in a class, the first call isn't to the parent, so but we just want to make sure if there's something that's going on that's kind of like, okay, this might become an issue that keeps the student from doing well from passing the class. We just want to make sure it's not a surprise at the end of the semester. Important numbers. All right. So, you can reach me. That is my correct phone number. Yay. And then the Ray's office is in the Woodward Technology Center, room 2516. If for some reason you can't get a hold of me and you need to get a hold of someone, Disability Support Services, you might get Shamra, probably get Shamra, right? But that's 815-971-2371. Um, and then I have my email on there because I have a 2 after my name. So I like to draw attention to that. It's a little bit different than the standard Rock Valley naming convention because Rockford is just overflowing with Andersons. So and then in case of an emergency, just wanting to make sure everybody's aware, you are at the Rock Valley College campus in the Woodward Technology Center on the second floor, and the raised classrooms are 2608 and 2610. Hopefully we won't have any emergencies. You won't need that information, but there we go. And questions. Does anybody have any questions?
I do have a quick question for the students who may be in my class, are they also in the other raised classes too? So as a student is in one class, are they automatically in the other ones as well?
So we have 2 classes meeting at 9 and then 2 classes meeting at 10:30. So all of the students except one have a 9 o'clock class and a 10:30 class. There
Okay.
is one student who is just taking one class to finish out the RAISE program, and
Mhm.
then is also taking traditional classes.
Okay.
Yeah, but for most of them, yes, they have the 9 o'clock and then the 10:30. And then the idea is that next semester they'll take whatever they're not taking this semester.
Gotcha.
Although we will have a few students who will be done at the end of this semester. So
Okay.
they'll graduate in May though with everyone because that's when we have the fun party. So we want to make sure they're part of that.
Gotcha. Cool. Thank you.
Yeah.
I I don't think I have any questions. I think my only questions were about the when we'll be getting the curriculum, but you've already answered that. So
Yeah. Yeah, we're meeting today, and Lynn and Dave are on top of it, which makes me feel good because it's not just me going, ah. They're also saying, the instructors really need this. So we're going to try to get all that figured out today, and then I'll send it to you as soon as I can. Yeah, and uh hopefully everything will will be set with that by the end of the day, and I'll get it over to you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is there any paperwork that needs to be filled out for HR? I hadn't filled anything out for HR, so I wasn't sure if there was anything I needed to do for that.
Yes. So look here, I got all my lists. Okay, so because you are you have another job within Rock Valley, we need a time makeup sheet, but that would actually go to your supervisor. Not to me, for this program. It would go to the person in the program that you're in. Yeah.
Okay.
Um, but I think everything else should be good. We're setting up the forms to make sure that everybody gets paid and that kind of thing tomorrow. So you should start getting paid. I don't know how to do the math on that one because
So
so
I think it'll follow the same pattern that we are getting paid now. So however the dates fall.
yeah.
So
Yeah, I just don't know if you'll get paid for 1 week of classes or like 1 day of classes, or because I don't know when the end of the pay period is, but um it'll all be
so
set up.
I can tell you right now.
Okay, thank you
I'll
so
let
much.
me pull it up and then I will let you know.
Okay, awesome.
So the pay period for this one ends on the 22nd.
Okay.
So,
So
and
you'll
then
have
you will
1
get
week.
paid on yeah, you'll have basically two classes.
Okay. Okay. Good. Well, all right, so you'll have 1 week for the first paycheck, and then after that, everything will roll along. And then you'll get paid regularly unless for some reason you're not here. And then we cross that bridge when we come to it. But I think all you have to do if you're not gonna be here is let me know, and then I can take care of all the paperwork on my end. So yeah. Anything else at all?
No, I don't. I think I'm good.
Yep,
Okay.
I'm good.
All right. Well, thank you. Thank you for being here. Thank you for wanting to teach in the program and being a part of it. And seriously, I want to say my door's always open, but it's literally closed right now. But I mean, figuratively, what I mean is like, please come to me when you have questions or concerns or when something's not working. I am new to this position, so I am definitely learning. So there might be things going on that just I haven't even, it hasn't come up yet. I haven't thought of yet. So, please, if something like that is going on, come to me and just say, like, hey, this is something that I'm running into, and I will do my best to make sure that you get whatever support you need, and, that I can just be there to help you out however you need.
Okay.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Okay. Oh, sorry. What was that, Cornell?
I said thank you. I appreciate it.
Oh, sorry. Okay, I just didn't hear. I didn't know if you had a question. Okay, yeah, thank you so much. And I will, if I don't see you before then, I will see you on Tuesday.
Sounds good.
All
Thanks.
right.
All right. Okay, take care. Thanks.
Yeah.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.